How did you two come to collaborate on this?
Well, that was just so emotional for me. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since it first aired, really. I never went back and revisited it, and it speaks to me just as deeply now as it did then. It's kind of, so it was kind of a great experience. What was interesting was I was involved with John in the show, but we lived upstate, and it was hours away from the production hub, and it was frustrating because I could never be as hands-on as I wanted to be, and there was sort of a way to how to be involved in the show, and I would sort of try to find moments to participate, but it was tricky in terms of the dynamic we had. But I was always kind of thinking of ideas, and I remember one time I was in the New York City office, and I was on the phone with a guy named Ralph McKay, who was a very interesting curator, worked a lot for Rotterdam and was part of Cinema Texas and Austin a little bit. And I would just check in with him once in a while because he was an interesting guy. And he said, oh, there's this incredible artist, this filmmaker, you should know who she is. I wrote down her name and I literally went to the next room and I was just like, oh, John, I just heard about this artist who's really interesting, named Miranda July. And he said, oh, and he literally picked up a stack of papers on the desk and he goes, her? So Miranda had sent, I didn't look it up to see, but she had actually written a letter to the show, to John, sort of saying, I'm working on this project and maybe you'll be interested. Now, I don't remember who gave you that idea, but John said, hey, you're into this kind of thing. Women.
So bad.
But I totally was. And the thing is, I wasn't directing it for the show, but it was really, I loved the idea of it. I thought, this is just a great idea. And everything about it was interesting. And at the time, I tried to find somebody else who was already directing for the show to do it. And then over time, it didn't work out, and I just decided, well, I'll do it. And it spoke to me. Mike LaHaye was extraordinarily important in terms of finding the structure. I know that I found the quotes and the pieces of the work. Miranda gave us access to a lot of her work that we could use. But then, put it together.
Yeah, I know. I didn't remember that till you told me that right before, that I had sent a letter. But in going through these archives, I have found lists and lists of addresses, like every possible film magazine. I I was like such a hustler. I still am, but in the way that I guess you have to be, we all, were. And so I'm sure I just saw this thing and I was like, fuck that. It just probably seemed so intensely male to me. And I had been inspired by the very same articles about, you can max out your credit card and make movies, but the whole thing didn't feel comfortable to me, and it was such a male narrative, and I had just as much guts, but it just wasn't, I just didn't connect to it, like as a scene, I was relating to these other women, there was a whole nother independent world of sort of punk music and stuff. So I was sort of, trying to do whatever my slackers, she's gotta have it, like all that was in my head, but I was sort of trying to do it in this kind of riot girl world in the Pacific Northwest. And so I saw myself as related, and I think I probably saw that letter as like a challenge.